The 1940s and 1950s were a very interesting time of change in professional football history, full of many milestones and reforms that began to move the game towards what we know and love today. In 1941, two major changes were made. First, Elmer Layden was named to be the first NFL commissioner. Second was the relocation of NFL headquarters to Chicago. In the same year, we saw the AFL fold after the Columbus Bullies won the league championship. The 1940s were also a time of war, which greatly altered the league's image for a few years. In 1942, many players departed from their teams to go into the service. This ultimately depleted many teams' rosters. One notable departure was that of George Halas, the Chicago Bears head coach. Halas left his Bears mid-season to join the Navy in an attempt to help the war effort. In 1943, we saw more effects of the war on the NFL. Due to the co-owners Reeves and Levy being in the service, the Cleveland Rams were granted permission to suspend all team operations for a single season. Another odd occurrence this year came when the Eagles and Steelers were granted permission to merge teams for a single season. Fans in the state referred to the team as the Steagles. 1943 was also the first time in history that the wearing of helmets became a mandatory rule. In 1946, the league began its national appearance when Reeves was permitted to move the previous champion Cleveland Rams to Los Angeles. Layden's contract as commissioner was not renewed, and Bert Bell, co-owner of the Steelers, took over. Halfback Kenny Washington and tight end Woody Strode were signed to the Rams, becoming the first African-American players to play in the modern NFL era. In 1948, the use of plastic helmets was completely prohibited in play. In 1949, Baltimore, Cleveland, and San Francisco signed a merger agreement and joined the NFL. 1 year later, in 1950, the Los Angeles Rams became the first team to have all games in their season, both home and away, televised. The following year, in 1951, the Pro Bowl game, which was dormant since 1942, was re-established, and the American Conference defeated the National Conference 28-27. Also, the NFL Championship game was nationally televised for the first time. The Dumont Network paid $75,000 for the rights to this game. In 1954, the Canadian Football League began its attempts to rid the NFL of its marquee players in an attempt to create a more lucrative league for itself. In the 1955 season, the sudden death overtime rule was utilized for the first time in a preseason game between the Rams and the Giants. In 1956, the NFL Players Association was formed. Also in '56, a leather ball with white end stripes replaced the white ball with black stripes for night games. In 1957, the NFL saw a record crowd of 102,368 for a game between the 49ers and the Rams in Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. In 1958, a new record of 1,527 rushing yards came from Cleveland Browns running back Jim Brown. In 1959, the legendary coach Vince Lombardi became the head coach of the Green Bay Packers and began his successful run to several championships.